Shalom, welcome back. So we made it up to Book 7 of the Nazarene Acts as we're working our way through the Rock of a Sure Foundation. And so without further delay, we'll go ahead and get into it. It says, at length, after leaving Trypholis, a city of Phoenicia, we made our first halt at Ortosius, not far from Trypholis. And there we remained the next day also, because almost all those that had believed in the Master, unable to part from Peter, followed him thus far. From there we came to Antheridus. But since there were many in our company, Peter said to Nicetas and Aquila, as there are immense crowds of brethren with us, and we bring upon ourselves no little envy as we enter into every city, without doing so dreadful a thing as to stop them from following us, it seems to me that we must take precautions to ensure that the wicked one shall not stir up discontent against us on account of any spectacle. I wish therefore that you, Nicetas and Aquila, will go before us with them, so that you may lead the multitude divided into two sections, that we may enter into every city of the Gentiles traveling apart rather than in one assemblage. But I know that you think it sad to be separated from me for the space of at least 2 days. Believe me, that, however much you love me, my sentiment towards you is even 10 times greater. But if, by reason of our mutual affection, we will not do the things that are right and honorable, such affection will appear to be unreasonable. Therefore, without deducting a little of our fondness, let us attend to those things which seem useful and necessary, especially since not a day can pass in which you may not be present at my discussions, for I propose to pass through the most noted cities of the provinces one by one, as you also know, and to reside 3 months in each for the sake of teaching. Now, therefore, go before me to Laodicea, which is the nearest city, and I shall follow you after 2 or 3 days, as so far as I suppose. But you shall wait for me at the inn nearest the gate of the city, and thence again, when we have spent a few days there, you shall go before me to the more distant ones. And this I wish you to do at every city, for the sake of avoiding discontent as much as we are able, and also that the brethren who are with us, finding lodgings prepared in the several cities by your foresight, may not seem to be vagabonds. When Peter thus spoke, they of course acquiesced, saying, it does not greatly sadden us to do this, because we are ordered by you, who have been chosen by the foresight of the Messiah, to do and to counsel well in all things. But also because, while it is a heavy loss not to see our master Peter, for one, it may be 2 or 3 days, yet it is not intolerable. Sorry, I'm laughing because of my dog. And we think our 12 brethren who go before us and who are deprived of the advantage of hearing and seeing you for a whole month out of the 3 that you stay in every city. Therefore we shall not delay doing as you order, because you order all things aright. And thus saying, they went forward, having received instruction that they should speak to the brethren who journeyed with them outside the city, and request them not to enter the cities in a crowd with tumult, but apart and divided. But when they were gone, I, Clement, rejoiced greatly, because he had kept me with himself. And I said to him, I give thanks to God that you have not sent me forward with the others, for I should have died through sadness. Then said Peter, and what will happen if necessity shall demand that you be sent anywhere for the purpose of teaching? Would you die if you were separated from me for a good purpose? Would you not put a restraint upon yourself to bear patiently what necessity has laid upon you? Or do you not know that friends are always together and joined in memory, though they be separated bodily? As, on the other hand, some persons are near to one another in body, but are separate in mind. Then I answered, think not, my master, that I suffer these things unreasonably, but there is a certain cause and reason for this affection of mine towards you, for I have you alone as the object of my affections instead of father and mother and brethren. But above all this is the fact that you alone are the cause of my salvation and knowledge of the truth. And also this I do not count of least moment, that my youthful age is subject to the snares of lust. And I am afraid to be without you, by whose sole presence all effeminacy, however irrational it be, is put to shame. Although I trust, by the mercy of God, that even in my mind, from what it has conceived through your instruction, shall be unable to receive anything else into its thoughts. Besides, I remember you saying at Caesarea, if anyone wished to accompany me without violating dutifulness, let him accompany me. And by this you meant that he should not make anyone sad, to whom he ought, according to God's appointments, to cleave. For example, that he should not leave a faithful wife or parents or the like. Now from these I'm entirely free, and I am fit for following you, and I wish you would grant me that I might perform to you the service of a servant. Then Peter, laughing, said, And do you not think, Clement, that very necessity must make you my servant? For who else can spread my sheets and arrange my beautiful coverlets? Who will be at hand to keep my rings and prepare my robes, which I must be constantly changing? Who shall superintend my cooks, and perform various and choice meats to be prepared by most recondite and various art, and all those things which are procured at enormous expense, and are brought together for men of delicate upbringing, yea, rather their appetite as for some enormous beast? But perhaps, although you live with me, you do not know my manner of life. I live on bread alone with olives, and seldom even with pot herbs. And my dress is what you see, a tunic with a pallidum. And having these, I require nothing more. This is sufficient for me, because my mind does not regard things present, but things eternal, and therefore no present and visible thing delights me. Notice Peter's diet here is mentioned. Notice that there's no meat. This is something that spoken about quite a bit. Is the earliest historical record we have of the apostles and the earliest Christians tells us that they ate a vegetarian diet, that they abstained from eating flesh. Eusebius mentions that. He says that the apostles abstained from wine, strong drink, and consuming flesh. And then we have men such as Epiphanius, who are hostile to the earliest Christian sects, because Epiphanius is an Orthodox bishop, and so he wants to label all of these early Jewish Christian sects as heresies, and so he calls them heretics because they ate only vegetables. And he quotes the Ebionites as saying that the reason they were vegetarian is because Christ revealed to them that they should be. So here you see this reflected in the Clementine literature. Whence I embrace, and admire indeed your good mind towards me, and I commend you the more, because though you have been accustomed to so great abundance, you have been able so soon to abandon it and to accommodate yourself to this life of ours, which makes use of necessary things alone. For we, that is, I and my brother Andrew, have grown up from our childhood not only orphans, but also extremely poor, and through necessity have become used to labor, whence now also we easily bear the fatigues of our journeyings. But rather, if you would consent and allow it, I, who am a working man, could more easily discharge the duty of a servant to you. But I trembled when I heard this, and my tears immediately gushed forth, because so great a man, who is worth more than the whole world, had addressed such a proposal to me. Then he, when he saw me weeping, inquired the reason, and I answered him, How have I so sinned against you that you should distress me with such a proposal? Then Peter, if it is evil that I said I should serve you, you were first in fault for saying the same thing to me. Then said I, The cases are not alike, for it becomes me to do this to you, but it is grievous that you, who are sent as a herald of the Most High God to save the souls of men, should say it to me. Then said Peter, I should agree with you, were it not that our Master, who came for the salvation of the whole world, and who was nobler than any creature, submitted to be a servant, that he might persuade us not to be ashamed to perform the ministry of servants to our brethren. Then said I, it were foolish in me, I suppose, that I can prevail with you. Nevertheless, I give thanks to the providence of Yahweh, because I have merited to have you instead of parents. Then said Peter, is there then no one in your family surviving? And I answered, there are indeed many powerful men coming of the stock of Caesar, for Caesar himself gave a wife to my father, as being his relative, and educated along with him, and of a suitably noble family. By her my father had twin sons, born before me, not very like one another, as my father told me, for I never knew them. But indeed I have not a distinct recollection even of my mother, but cherish the remembrance of her face, as if I had seen it in a dream. My mother's name was Mathilda, and my father's Faustinaeus, my brothers Faustinus and Faustus. Now when I was barely 5 years old, my mother saw a vision. So I learned from my father, by which she was warned, that unless she speedily left the city with her twin sons and was absent for 10 years, she and her children should perish by a miserable fate. Then my father, who tenderly loved his sons, put them on board a ship with their mother, and sent them to Athens to be educated, with slaves and maidservants and a sufficient supply of money, retaining me only to be a comfort to him, and thankful for this, that the vision had not commanded me also to go with my mother. And at the end of a year my father sent men to Athens with money for them, desiring also to know how they did, but those who were sent never returned. Again, in the 3rd year my sorrowful father sent other men with money, who returned in the 4th year, and related that they had seen neither my mother nor my brothers, that they had never reached Athens, and no trace had been found of any one of those who had been with them. My father, hearing this, and confounded with excessive sorrow, not knowing whether to go or where to seek, went down with me to the harbor, and began to ask of the sailors whether any of them had seen or heard of the bodies of a mother and 2 children being cast ashore anywhere 4 years ago. When one told one story and another, but nothing definite was disclosed to us, searching in this boundless sea. Yet my father, by reason of the great affection which he bore to his wife and children, was fed with vain hopes, until he thought of placing me under guardians and leaving me at Rome, as I was now 12 years old, and himself going in quest of them. Therefore he went down to the harbor, weeping, and going on board a ship, took his departure. And from that time till now I have never received any letters from him, nor do I know whether he is alive or dead. But I rather suspect that he also perished, either through a broken heart or by shipwreck, for 20 years now have elapsed since then, and no tidings of him have ever reached me. Peter, hearing this, shed tears of sympathy, and said to his friends who were present, if any man who is a worshipper of God had endured what this man's father has endured, immediately men would assign his religion as the cause of his calamities. But when these things happen to miserable Gentiles, they charge their misfortunes upon fate. I call them miserable because they are both vexed with errors here and deprived of future hopes, whereas when the worshippers of God suffer these things, their patient endurance of them contributes to their cleansing from sin. So I think this is a good place to stop. We've went through 11 chapters, so we'll pick up in chapter 12 next time. Thank you. Shalom.